One became the greatest player of all time, another one went to prison. This is what happened to the 11 World Cup Golden Ball winners. Imagine being the most hated man in your country. Your career is in ruins, your reputation destroyed. Now imagine that just 6 weeks later, you're a national hero. This is the story of Paolo Rossi. In 1980, Rossi was banned for 2 years after the Totonero match-fixing scandal rocked Italian football. He maintained his innocence, but it didn't matter. When his suspension was reduced and he made Italy's 1982 World Cup squad, the backlash was immediate. Fans despised him. The press questioned his selection. He was a walking controversy. The tournament started disastrously. 3 group stage matches, 0 goals. Italy barely scraped through and Rossi looked finished. Coach Enzo Bearzot faced enormous pressure to drop him, but he didn't. Then came the second group stage match against Brazil, the tournament favorites with Zico, Socrates, and Falcão. What happened next was pure cinema. Rossi scored a hat trick, eliminating the greatest team in the world. 2 more goals in the semi-final against Poland, another in the final against West Germany. 6 goals in 3 knockout games. Italy were world champions and Rossi won the Golden Ball. Here's the twist. After reaching the absolute peak of football, Rossi's career faded quickly. Injuries plagued him and he retired just 4 years later at age 30. But none of that mattered. 1 month in Spain had erased the scandal, rewritten his legacy, and turned disgrace into immortality. Sometimes redemption doesn't need to last forever. It just needs one perfect moment. Mexico 1986 wasn't just a World Cup, it was Diego Maradona ascending to a level of football that has never been reached before or since. This was a one-man show disguised as a team sport. Against England in the quarterfinals, Maradona pulled off the impossible, scoring both the most controversial goal and the greatest goal in World Cup history within 5 minutes of each other. First, the hand of God, punching the ball past Peter Shilton while the referee watched. 4 minutes later, the goal of the century, dribbling past half the England team like they were traffic cones, pure genius and pure chaos, just like Diego himself. Argentina's team wasn't great, they were Maradona plus 10 players trying to keep up. He dragged them to the title through sheer force of will, scoring 5 goals and assisting 5 more. When they lifted the trophy, it felt like he'd won it alone. Back in Naples, the worship intensified. Murals appeared on buildings. Parents named their children after him. He was treated less like a footballer and more like a deity walking among mortals. But while the city prayed to Saint Diego, the man behind the myth was unraveling. Cocaine, weight gain, tabloid scandals. By 1991, he failed a drug test and was banned. Then came USA 1994, the ephedrine scandal, the wild-eyed celebration, another ban, and a World Cup exit in disgrace. Here's the tragedy. Maradona reached the absolute peak of human ability with a football, but he could never escape himself. The same fire that made him a god burned him from the inside out. If Maradona was a god who fell to earth, Salvatore Schillaci was a mortal who touched heaven for exactly 1 month. Italia, 90. Schillaci was a 25-year-old bench player nobody knew. Then the goals started. Austria, Czechoslovakia, Uruguay, Ireland, 6 goals. Those wild, bulging eyes after every goal became iconic before the internet could turn them into memes. For one summer, Toto Schillaci was the most famous man in Italy. Then reality hit. Juventus struggled. Inter, same story. His club career never came close to replicating those magical weeks. By 1994, he was in Japan. By 1999, retired. Today, Schillaci works as a TV pundit, mostly forgotten outside nostalgia clips. His story is the ultimate warning. World Cup fame can be too much, too fast. Lightning struck once, and when it faded, so did he. Sometimes a moment of glory is all you get. Romário was proof that you could break every rule in football and still be the best player on the planet if you were talented enough. USA 94 was Romário's tournament. 5 goals, countless assists, and a World Cup title for Brazil. But here's the thing, he hated training, hated authority, hated being told what to do. His philosophy was simple: I don't train, I play. And somehow, it worked. While his teammates ran laps and followed rigid tactical instructions, Romário showed up, did whatever he wanted, and scored goals nobody else could. Brazil had failed to qualify for the 1990 World Cup without him. With him, champions. That's how indispensable he was. After 1994, Romário's life became even more chaotic. Nightclubs, controversies, public feuds with coaches. He lived exactly how he played, on his own terms. He even became a politician later, bringing that same rebellious energy to Brazilian Congress. The beautiful irony of Romário is that he proved football's conventional wisdom completely wrong. Discipline, hard work, professionalism, everyone said those were non-negotiable. Romário ignored all of it and became a world champion anyway. He was a genius who succeeded precisely because he refused to be tamed. Some players need structure. Romário just needed a football and defenders to humiliate. France 1998 should have been Ronaldo's coronation. Instead, it became football's greatest unsolved mystery. Ronaldo was unstoppable throughout the tournament, 4 goals, destroying defenses with that terrifying combination of speed and skill. Then came July 12th, the World Cup final, and everything went wrong. Hours before kickoff, Ronaldo suffered a convulsive fit in his hotel room. Teammates found him shaking, unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital, then, incredibly, cleared to play. But something was off. The team sheet initially had him benched, then suddenly he was starting. To this day, conspiracy theories swirl. Did Nike pressure Brazil to play their marquee star? Was it politics? Medical negligence? What we know is this: Ronaldo was a ghost in that final. France won 3-0. The most lethal striker in the world looked lost, scared, broken. Then came the injuries. His knees exploded. One devastating rupture, then another. By 23, many thought he was finished, the greatest what if in football history. But here's where the story gets interesting, because 4 years later in South Korea and Japan, Ronaldo would face his demons again, overweight, scarred, written off by everyone, and hungry for redemption. Oliver Kahn did something no goalkeeper had ever done. He won the golden ball, and then, in the cruelest twist imaginable, one mistake took everything away. Germany weren't favorites in 2002. They were supposed to crash out early. Instead, Kahn turned into a wall. Save after save, match after match. He didn't just stop shots, he screamed at defenders, punched the air, radiated pure intimidation. Opponents were genuinely afraid of him. 7 matches, 1 goal conceded. Germany reached the final against Brazil, and Kahn was the reason why. Then the 67th minute, a shot from Rivaldo, not even dangerous. Kahn fumbled it, the ball spilled loose, Ronaldo pounced. 1-0, Germany never recovered. Brazil won 2-0. One mistake, that's all it took. Kahn still won the golden ball, the only goalkeeper ever, but nobody remembers that. They remember the fumble. After the match, Kahn initially refused his runner-up medal, devastated, broken. His legacy became the most painful lesson in football. Perfection means nothing if you fail when it matters most. This was supposed to be the perfect ending. Instead, it became the most iconic tragedy in football history. Zidane had retired from international football, but France needed him. He came back for one last World Cup, and what followed was pure magic. A masterclass against Brazil, elegance against Portugal, then the final against Italy, where Zidane scored with a Panenka penalty. The audacity, the arrogance, the perfection of it. This was the farewell script writing itself. 110th minute, extra time. Marco Materazzi said something. To this day, nobody knows exactly what insults about Zidane's sister, his mother, something unforgivable. Zidane stopped, turned, and drove his head into Materazzi's chest. The referee showed red. Zidane's career ended with a walk of shame. France lost on penalties, Italy lifted the trophy, and burned into history forever is that image. Zidane walking past the World Cup trophy, expressionless, his career over, his legacy complicated. He still won the golden ball voted before the final, but nobody talks about his brilliance. They talk about the headbutt. 2 seconds erased everything. Zidane proved that even legends can't control how their story ends. South Africa 2010 was Diego Forlán's movie, and Uruguay was his supporting cast. Forlán was 31 and at his absolute peak. The Jabulani ball, the one everyone complained about, became his weapon. Long-range screamers that defied physics. 5 goals. including that ridiculous strike against Germany. Uruguay hadn't reached a World Cup semi-final in 40 years, and suddenly Forlán dragged them there, making an entire nation believe again. Then the tournament ended and reality returned. Forlán bounced between clubs. Inter Milan flopped, Internacional, Cerezo Osaka, Peñarol. He even had a forgettable stint in MLS with Mumbai City. The magic was gone. The player who terrorized world-class defenses in South Africa was now struggling in Japan and India. Here's the strange beauty of Forlán's legacy. His club career was solid but unspectacular, yet internationally, he's a god. Sometimes greatness doesn't need longevity or consistency, just one perfect summer where you carry your country further than anyone thought possible. Some awards feel like trophies, others feel like reminders of what you couldn't achieve. Messi dragged Argentina through the group stages in Brazil, 2014, 4 goals, complete domination. Then the knockouts came and he went quiet. Argentina's defense kept them alive while Messi searched for magic that wouldn't come. The final against Germany, 1-0, Mario Götze, defeat. Then came the Golden Ball ceremony. Messi walked up, hollow-eyed, and accepted the award for best player of the tournament. No smile, no celebration, just emptiness. Fans said it perfectly. Even Messi didn't want it. What's the point of being the best player when you're not a champion? The pressure crushed him. Another final lost in 2015. Another in 2016. Messi briefly retired from international football, broken by the weight of expectations. Argentina needed him to be Maradona, and he couldn't deliver. That 2014 Golden Ball became a symbol of everything incomplete in Messi's career, the individual brilliance that somehow wasn't enough. For 8 years, it haunted him. But we'll get to 2022 later, because that story, that's when everything finally made sense. For a decade, football had 2 names, Messi and Ronaldo. Then a 32-year-old Croatian midfielder said, "Enough." Russia 2018 was Croatia's tournament, and Modric was the engine. 3 knockout matches went to extra time, 120 minutes of relentless running. Most players would collapse. Modric played every single minute like it was the first. He dragged Croatia to their first ever World Cup final, a nation of 4 million punching far above its weight. They lost the final to France, but Modric won the Golden Ball, a statement that the best player doesn't always play for the winning team. People forget, this man grew up during the Croatian War, a refugee whose grandfather was killed in the conflict. From war zones to the World Cup final, it's a story that transcends sport. Here's the beautiful irony. Modric looks like he'd snap in half during a strong breeze. Slim, almost fragile. Yet he's outlasted everyone, still dominating at Real Madrid years later, winning more Champions Leagues, playing like a machine that refuses to break down. Modric proved you don't need to be the most talented or the strongest. Sometimes you just need to be the one who never stops running. Qatar 2022 was Messi's last chance. Everyone knew it. At 35, this was his final World Cup, his last shot at the only trophy that mattered. Then Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the opening match. The dream seemed over before it started, but something changed. Messi didn't crumble like 2014. He became a leader, a force of will, dragging Argentina forward. Every knockout game, Messi delivered. Goal or assist, Australia goal, Netherlands assist and penalty shootout conversion, Croatia goal and assist. The final against France, 2 goals, including one in extra time. When it went to penalties, Messi stepped up first and buried it. No fear, no doubt. Argentina won. Messi lifted the trophy, tears streaming down his face, finally complete. The boy from Romário, who'd carried the weight of a nation for 2 decades, finally had his moment. From he failed internationally to undisputed greatest of all time, the narrative flipped completely. Every final loss, every retirement, every moment of doubt, it all led here. 8 years earlier, the Golden Ball felt like a consolation prize, a reminder of what he couldn't achieve. This time, holding that trophy alongside the World Cup, it finally made sense. This time, Messi had everything. Which Golden Ball winner's story surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into World Cup history, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more football stories you won't find anywhere else.